subject listening comprehension. And today's meeting, we are going to learn together about the informative speech. What is that? Okay, we are going to continue for the next slide. What is informative speech? Let's take a look. An informative speech here is one that intends to educate the audience on a particular topic. So you may underline and focus on educate the audience. This is about the goal or the aim of the informative speech. And then the main goal of the informative speech is to provide enrichment regarding a specific topic the audience knows nothing about. It may demonstrate how to use a new type of a software and then explain a new concept in the field of science and describe an expedition an archaeologist took or provide details about a person of interest that the audience want to learn more about. So take a look at this definition, students. Yeah, that the informative speech itself can be divided into four categories here. There are four categories. It means here the first is the informative speech may demonstrate, demonstrate how to use this one. This is demonstrate. And then secondly, to explain. This is the second category. And then the third category is to describe an expedition. This one is describing. And then the last is a provide details about. Okay, to provide the details, okay, or to explain, to explain, almost the same with this one, to explain, and then to, demonstrate, to explain, and then to describe, and the last is to provide details, or giving information in details, Okay, this one. This is about the four categories related to the definition of the informative speech. Okay, now we will continue. There are types of informative speeches. As mentioned on the definition before, we can see that there are four categories of the informative speech, the informative speeches. Here, Rebecca try to divide into a piece of a circle and then divide it into four. The speeches consist of demonstrative speech and then definition speech and descriptive speech and explanatory speech. Okay, and this one, on a demonstrative speech, of course, this is a demonstrative to describe how to perform an action. Okay, like a demo, demo for cooking or demo for making something, this is an action. And then continue for the definition speech. A definition speech here explains a concept or a theory regarding a topic. So this one try to explain in detail, try to provide details information. Okay, this one a definition speech. And the third type is a descriptive speech that helps the speaker create an accurate mental picture in the mind of the audience regarding a specific person and in a specific place or specific thing. So it means here they are going to describe about one thing, one place, or one person, okay, or describe about something to do, or the event. Okay, this is a descriptive. And then the last type is explanatory speech. The explanatory speech here is a speech that explains the state of the topic. Okay, this is the explaining for a specific topic, related to the idea of the speaker. And then Mimika will deliver the examples, from this video. about the 4 categories of informative speeches here. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, on the first video, okay, we are going to watch the first video, and then the first video here, after you watch for about a while, yeah, and then try to understand what is the video about, yeah, what is the video about, and what does the speaker say, yeah, in the video. So what is the speaker saying on the video after you watch the video? Okay, we are going to watch this video for a while, yeah, and then try to understand, try to listen, and then what is the speaker talking about in this video. Okay, now let's watch together.
I love finding the perfect present for someone and then making it into the most beautiful package. But who has time or money to create beautiful packaging every single time? Well, my name is Megan Harrell, and today I'm going to show you how to create an affordable and lovely gift basket in under 5 minutes. The first thing you're going to need to make your gift basket is cellophane, ribbon, scissors, tape, and a lovely gift card, as well as some filler or stuffing of assorted varieties. Then you're going to need the actual items that will go inside of your gift basket. This is a beauty basket, and it has all sorts of cool stuff like candles and fun things like that in it, inside a traditional basket. Now, what's really neat is when you're deciding your theme, which is the first thing you'll want to do, is you can choose different kinds of containers, so something that actually matches your theme. My theme today is going to be delicious gourmet food, and I'm actually putting it in a small casserole dish. So that's my theme, food. So my casserole dish is here, and here are my materials. Now, you want some items that are of a variety of heights and sizes, and the reason is because you want to make sure that your package looks pretty to the eye, that it has a lot of just different heights and stuff. And you're probably going to want to have some additional items just in case you have extra room. So this looks pretty good. This is going to be kind of how my basket is going to go. And so once you dry fit it, which is what I just did, you can take your materials back out and we're going to stuff it. Now you want to remember that when you're choosing your items, you need at least 2 really neat items, something that's different and unusual. Some of my items that I chose today are black rice and sesame seed oil and saffron. And those are things that you don't necessarily always have in your kitchen or in your pantry. So I wanted it to be a little bit special. Now, after you put your filler in, you're going to make a nest, basically, to nestle your items in, starting from the back of your package. Now, you may end up having to add a little bit of extra stuffing, so I'm just going to actually put it right here. And this keeps your dudes from rolling all over the place. Now, stuffing does several things. Like I said, it keeps your guys from rolling around in your package. Also, it fills in any empty spots that you might have, and it helps you to be able to boost items up. So items that are maybe a little bit shorter don't necessarily stay shorter because you've boosted them up with the filler. So there we go. So now I'm just going to arrange my materials in my basket to make something that looks lovely. Again, I'm making little nests for things to sit in. The filler that I have today is a recycled paper, but you can use all sorts of different kinds of fillers. You could use something like confetti or maybe a foam, something. Even if you're doing like a black and white theme, then you could do newspaper.
Okay, students, after you watch, yeah, Monica will try to give you, the results, yeah, the results or the summary after you watch the first video. The first video here, it is a kind of a demonstrative speech. That's why, yeah, as you can see on the video, that the speaker here describes an action. Yeah, The action that the speaker is doing here is creating an affordable and a lovely gift basket. The speaker is going to create a beautiful basket here, which consists of some gifts there, yeah, and then the speaker is going to tell you, tries to demonstrate to you about how to make it beautiful, how to make it affordable. Okay, she just make the basket in under 5 minutes. Okay, and she demonstrate the materials and then the steps and also the ways of writing. So this video is on demonstrative speech, the example of demonstrative speech. And now we are going to watch for the second video. Okay, we are going to watch and listen for the second video. What type of the video here, what type of speech, yeah, based on the second video. Okay, let's watch.
Imagine that you're walking to your car or your apartment or your dorm room and you see a tree with a noose hanging from it. It'd be kind of terrifying, especially if you felt like that was a message directed at you. Today I'm going to talk to you about hate crimes, or more specifically, hate speech. Some of you may know that here at Cal State San Marcos last spring we had an incidence of hate speech. There was some graffiti with a noose and some things about homosexuals and people of different races written in a couple bathrooms. Dictionary.com defines hate speech as speech that is deliberately hurtful or offensive directed at an individual or a group based on their religion, their race, their ethnicity, their sexual orientation, or their gender. Today I talk to you about what hate speech is. No one should be afraid to be walking around on their own college campus. And if you see a noose, that's not something to just shrug off and laugh at. It's something to talk about.
Okay, students, for the second video here, you can learn from this video that the speaker tries to deliver the definition of hate speech. Yeah, the speaker here gives definition more about the hate speech based on the dictionary.com. She elaborates the definition more clearly to the audience or to the students, yeah, and then she defines the hate speech by her own knowledge too. She elaborates, yeah, she gives a definition, more definition related to her own knowledge based on the sources on dictionary.com. So this video is called definition speech because the speaker is trying to define more, yeah, about the hate speech here. Okay, and then how about the third? How about the third video? So you can guess what is the third video here and what type of a video on the third video. Okay, let's watch and listen.
Hi everyone, I apologize in advance for my voice. I have laryngitis, so I'm going to get through this as best as I can. How many of you get the right amount of sleep every night and feel refreshed each morning? Do you get 7 to 9 hours? Most college students are lucky if they get 5. According to the National Sleep Foundation, most Americans are not getting enough sleep at night. In fact, 39% of Americans are not getting the 7 to 9 hours recommended, and 74% experience sleep problems that affect the quality of their sleep. Whether you are in college, are middle-aged, or over 7 years old, this speech applies to you. Although sleep needs change over the course of our life, sleep will always be crucial. Before preparing my speech, I interviewed my mom. She's a respiratory therapist and works at Precision Diagnostic Services and is their regional manager. PDS is a company that tests, diagnoses, and treats people with chronic sleep disorders. She has been a respiratory therapist for 24 years and provided me with very valuable information. The amount of sleep we get each night has direct effects on our bodies, both physically and mentally. Today I'm going to speak to you about the importance of getting sleep, give you some tips for getting better sleep, and talk briefly about sleep disorders. During my interview with my mother, she emphasized that the importance of getting good sleep is that it is key to our health, performance, safety, and quality of life. It is just important as good nutrition and exercise to our health. In fact, it is as necessary as the water we drink, the air we breathe, and the food we eat to function and live our best. Now that you know why it is important to get good sleep, I'm going to give you a few tips for better sleep. According to Mayo Clinic's article, Sleep Tips, 7 tips for better sleep, there are 7 ways you can get better sleep at night. First, stick to a sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up roughly at the same time every day. Having a schedule reinforces your body's sleep-wake cycle and helps you sleep better at night. Second, pay attention to what you eat and drink. Do not go to bed too hungry or too full. And also limit how much you drink before bed to avoid unnecessary trips to the bathroom. Lastly, limit alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine use, as these can all disrupt your sleep. Next, create a bedtime ritual. Do the same things each night if possible to tell your body that you're getting ready for bed. Examples would be taking a shower, reading a book, or even listening to music. However, don't watch TV or use electronic devices, as these can interfere with your sleep.
Okay, after you listen on the third video, in this third video, you can see the speaker gives information of the importance of getting sleep. The explanation includes tips of getting better sleep, and then safety and the quality of sleep, and something you should do for better sleep. From all explanation from the speaker, the explanation from the speaker, we can conclude that this is an explanatory speech, because the speaker is going to explain and giving information about the importance of getting sleep, And then because the reasons why it is an explanatory speech, because it explains more about the importance of sleep and tips for better sleep. Okay, students, this is explanatory speech for the third category. And how about the fourth category? Okay, we are going to watch the fourth video, related to category number 4. Okay, let's watch and listen.
So imagine how you would feel if your small Honda Civic, just got slammed into by a pretty big car, a Cadillac Escalade, and there are 2 small children in the back, one whose side got slammed into. It all started on a warm, sunny spring morning. I was driving my little brother and sister to the babysitters where I would drop off my little sister. And the neighbor to the babysitter, the woman who drove the Escalade, always drove really fast, not only on the road, but in and out of her driveway. So whenever I drove to the house, I would always take that into consideration. And on this particular morning, she started to back out of her driveway, and I noticed this, so I stopped and I waited for her out of common courtesy, even though I had the right of way. So I waited for her for about half a minute, and she didn't go, so I thought maybe she was waiting for me. So as I went to my parking spot, I hear this very loud noise that sounds like a crushing of metal, and I was jolted back and forth in my seat. And I was really scared. And I was scared for Nicholas because it was his side, and I was scared of the damage that was done and if anybody else got hurt in the other car. So I moved forward so I wasn't in the road, and I got out of my car and I looked at the damage that was done, and there was a huge dent between the back end of the door and the front end of the bumper. And there is a big dent underneath the gas tank, and part of the bumper was sticking out in such a way that it rubbed against the tire, and the tire itself was covered with a bunch of scratches. And I looked at the driver's car, and there were a lot of scratches, no dents, which was good, but a lot of scratches nonetheless. So the driver came out, and I could see on her face that she knew it was her fault, but she started to blame me for what had happened. And there was no more shock, there was no more being scared. I was furious that she was trying to blame me for her negligence. She could have potentially hurt her family and her car and also mine. So I'm ashamed to say I did yell at her, and I started to say that it was her fault for this whole car accident and I wasn't at blame. So I told Nicholas to get the babysitter out here just so I could have another witness, and at that moment I remembered the 4 steps that my parents had drilled me on car accident occasion.
Okay, after you watch the full video, in the last video here you can see and listen to the content that the speaker here describes about her car was crushed by the big car, yeah, and she describes in detail about the car's condition. She also describes the chronological events, how it happened, when it happened, and how it happened. So then this video is called descriptive speech. Okay, students, this is the example of 4 category of speech from the first up to the 4th category. Yeah, from the demonstrative speech, definition speech, explanatory speech, and the last 4 descriptive speech. Okay, so you can differ among them, yeah, related to the definition and also examples that I give you on this video. Okay, and now we come to this one. Make a word deliver one video, yeah, only one video. You try to watch and listen to the video. Firstly, you should guess. What type of speech is it? Okay, you have to guess first what type of speech is it, and then answer some comprehension question based on the speaker's information. This is, of course, the informative speech, but in which category is it? In which type is it? Because informative speech has got 4 types, yeah? As I delivered to you, there are 4 types of the informative speech. The first is demonstrative, secondly, definition, the third, explanatory, and then the last, descriptive. So, in which type of this video? Then, after you watch, please try to watch the video carefully, yeah, and then listen carefully. You are going to answer this questions. Okay, Monica will deliver the questions first, and then after I deliver the question, 20 questions that you should do based on watching and listening to the video, and you have to type on a Microsoft Word and change into PDF file, then upload it in a Simone Sola. Okay, now these are the questions. This is question for number 1 up to 5. Okay, you have to take a look at the questions. Yeah, pay attention to the question. Number 1 up to 5. And then the next will be question for number 6 up to 10. You have to watch and also try to catch the point. Yeah, what kind of questions and how do you answer it. So you have to find the clue or the keywords from the questions, and then you will you find the answer on the video that you watch. Okay, this is for question number 6 up to 10, and then this is for question 11 up to 15. Okay. Check again for this question. Pay attention. Yeah. You may try to listen to 2 or 3 times for the video. Okay. To catch the answer. And then this is the last question. Number 16 up to number 20. Okay, students, after you read all the questions that you should do, each point of the question you will get score for 5. So if the answers for all the questions are right. Yeah, so all answers are right. So the final score you will get 100. Okay, now let's continue to watch the video.
What do you think when you look at me? A woman of faith? An expert? Maybe even a sister? Or oppressed, brainwashed, a terrorist? Or just an airport security line delay? That one's actually true. If some of your perceptions were negative, I don't really blame you. That's just how the media has been portraying people who look like me. One study found that 80% of news coverage about Islam and Muslims is negative. And studies show that Americans say that most don't know a Muslim. I guess people don't talk to their Uber drivers. Well, for those of you who've never met a Muslim, it's great to meet you. Let me tell you who I am. I'm a mom, a coffee lover, double espresso cream on the side. I'm an introvert. I'm a wannabe fitness fanatic, and I'm a practicing spiritual Muslim. But not like Lady Gaga says, because baby, I wasn't born this way. It was a choice. When I was 17, I decided to come out. No, not as a gay person like some of my friends, but as a Muslim, and decided to start wearing the hijab, my head covering. My feminist friends were aghast. Why are you oppressing yourself? The funny thing was, it was actually at that time a feminist declaration of independence from the pressure I felt as a 17-year-old to conform to a perfect and unattainable standard of beauty. I didn't just passively accept the faith of my parents. I wrestled with the Quran. I read and reflected and questioned and doubted and ultimately believed. My relationship with God, it was not love at first sight. It was a trust and a slow surrender that deepened with every reading of the Quran. Its rhythmic beauty sometimes moves me to tears. I see myself in it. I feel that God knows me. Have you ever felt like someone sees you, completely understands you, and yet loves you anyway? That's how it feels. And so later, I got married, and like all good Egyptians, started my career as an engineer. I later had a child after getting married, and I was living essentially the Egyptian American dream. And then that terrible morning of September 2001. I think a lot of you probably remember exactly where you were that morning. I was sitting in my kitchen, finishing breakfast, and I look up on the screen and see the words breaking news. There was smoke, airplanes flying into buildings, people jumping out of buildings. What was this? An accident? A malfunction? My shock quickly turned to outrage. Who would do this? And I switched the channel and I hear Muslim terrorist, in the name of Islam, Middle Eastern descent, jihad. We should bomb Mecca. Oh my God. Not only had my country been attacked, but in a flash, somebody else's actions had turned me from a citizen to a suspect. That same day, we had to drive across Middle America to move to a new city to start grad school. And I remember sitting in the passenger seat as we drove in silence, crouched as low as I could go in my seat for the first time in my life, afraid for anyone to know I was a Muslim. We moved into our apartment that night in a new town in what felt like a completely different world. And then I was hearing and seeing and reading warnings from national Muslim organizations saying things like, be alert, be aware, stay in well-lit areas, don't congregate. I stayed inside all week. And then it was Friday, that same week, the day that Muslims congregate for worship. And again, the warnings were, don't go that first Friday. It could be a target. And I was watching the news, wall-to-wall coverage. Emotions were so raw, understandably. And I was also hearing about attacks on Muslims, or people who were perceived to be Muslim being pulled out and beaten in the street. Mosques were actually firebombed. And I thought we should just stay home. And yet, something didn't feel right. Because those people who attacked our country attacked our country. I get it that people were angry at the terrorists. Guess what? So was I. And so to have to explain yourself all the time isn't easy. I don't mind questions. I love questions. It's the accusations that are tough. Today we hear people actually saying things like, there's a problem in this country and it's called Muslims. When are we going to get rid of them? So some people want to ban Muslims and close down mosques. They talk about my community kind of like we're a tumor in the body of America. And the only question is, are we malignant or benign? You know, a malignant tumor you extract altogether, and a benign tumor you just keep under surveillance. The choices don't make sense because it's the wrong question. Muslims, like all other Americans, aren't a tumor in the body of America. We're a vital organ. Thank you. Muslims are inventors and teachers, first responders and Olympic athletes. Now, is closing down mosques going to make America safer? It might free up some parking spots, but it will not end terrorism. Going to a mosque regularly is actually linked to having more tolerant views of people of other faiths and greater civic engagement. And as one police chief in the Washington, D.C. area recently told me, people don't actually get radicalized at mosques. They get radicalized in their basement or bedroom in front of a computer. And what you find about the radicalization process is it starts online, but the first thing that happens is the person gets cut off from their community, from even their family, so that the extremist group can brainwash them into believing that they, the terrorists, are the true Muslims, and everyone else who abhors their behavior and ideology are sellouts or apostates. So if we want to prevent radicalization, we have to keep people going to the mosque. Now, some will still argue Islam is a violent religion. After all, a group like ISIS bases its brutality on the Quran. Now, as a Muslim, as a mother, as a human being, I think we need to do everything we can to stop a group like ISIS. But we would be giving into their narrative if we cast them as representatives of a faith of 1.6 billion people. Thank you. ISIS has as much to do with Islam as the Ku Klux Klan has to do with Christianity.
Okay, students, after watching the video, please now it's time for you to to answer all the questions I gave you before. Write down the answer on MS Word file, then convert it into PDF file. Finally, after in PDF file, upload it in Sim Unisula. Remember, there is a submission deadline over there. Pay attention on the submission deadline. Thank you so much for today's meeting. I think that's enough for overviewing today. Thank you and see you again on the next meeting on the different material. And Emeka will close by saying Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.